If your KTM 250 or 350 or actually any electric start KTM for that matter starts making some funny noises, it might be time to replace a certain part inside of there. It's basically the Sprag gear. Okay, so the gear is up in here. It's underneath the, basically underneath the flywheel. So the parts you're going to need are, of course, the they call it the freewheel, which is this, and this is where the problem is actually coming from. A retainer clip, this is what holds it, and then of course it's always good to have a gasket just in case you mess that up. But having the right flywheel puller is also a plus. So having a good flywheel puller and stuff, and then it sure doesn't hurt to have a impact driver to knock that flywheel back off. And this is our parts list from a 2019 KTM 350 EXC. So if you want to support this channel, you can always go to dirtbiketest.com and click the support us links. It really does help out. So we're pulling out the bolts on the side cover here, and since I'm doing this kind of out in the field, I'm using the skid plate as a tray. We had removed the shift lever because it gets in the way, and most of the times the gasket actually will last. But like we said, we have another one. I do use an impact driver to pull those out, and here is the proper puller for this particular model, and it really it's necessary. You can't do this without a puller. And just remember that it does thread on the outside, and then it puts pressure on the ignition shaft. Again, impact driver is really nice to pull off. Tricky part, got the flywheel out. The hardest thing is to get this retaining clip out. And so on this insert here, there's a small little recessed part right there. In this recessed part, the trick is, and if you have some really fine, some smaller screwdrivers or a pick, I have a couple, like they're kind of computer working on screwdrivers, and you're going to want to kind of get in there, and I hold it from spinning because it wants to spin, and I'm going to try to kind of pop it out and get something behind it. So the trick is you want to pin it down so it can't slide, and then I reached in there with a small Phillips, went underneath this hook and picked at it and pulled it out. So it did take about 10 minutes fiddling with it. And that is it. Luckily there's no damage, but I have seen the springs break, and you can actually see, so there's some damage. And so this is what's causing the problem, is if you look right inside there, this spring has literally lost its tension. You know, I always check to make sure that this surface inside of here is all good. No bumps or hiccups on there. And then you can tell it's the right way up because the ring was up, the circlip that holds this bearing together, and don't ever take that apart, bad times. And then just set it back in there. You want to get it set all the way down there so it's down past the ringland. And then just for good measure, since I have it, I'm going to throw the new clip back into it. And then same thing. You can see how it has a point on one side, and when you're going to remove it, so essentially it was in like this, and I picked at the open end. So it's really not that hard to get back in. way easier. And then I'm just going to go ahead and slide this around and get it away from that opening, so there's less of a chance of it coming out. Okay, so all back together, and so what this is going to do is it's going to end up on top of that. You want to line up your flywheel index key like so. There we go. It's on there. And then you're going to spin this to get it to, because it freewheels. And so in order to get it to go on there, you're going to have to get that guy to spin so that it slides down onto the bearing like it's supposed to. And it's not the easiest thing to get it to spin, but there we go. And that way you can see how when it goes one direction it freewheels, in the other direction it goes. So just that little bit of spinning allows it to get back on there. With the flywheel set in place, I'm now putting the screw on there, and I do use the impact driver to set it in place. Then I put the bike in gear, and then since I have a torque wrench in my wrist, really I'm doing this. And since the gasket came off all good, so now it makes the whine, which is the normal noise. It just doesn't do that snap.
If you liked what you saw in this video, come check us out over at dirtbiketest.com on the webs. We have bike tests, product tests, a lot of fresh dirt, and you can even support us by clicking through our links. Hopefully we'll see you out in the trail.